What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another Should You Pull video, where we take a look at upcoming banners coming to the game. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at Cinque's Lost Chapter banner, which includes, of course, her EX weapon, alongside with her 15 and 35 CP weapon. The other one that we are going to be seeing the very first time in the global, the EX weapon, is going to be Snow's EX weapon, and of course you can grab his 15 and 35 CP. The third wheel for this one is going to be Cait Sith, which you can grab his 15 and 35 CP weapon. Now, before we start, again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help my channel, guys, and I really do appreciate all the support you guys give me. Now, without further ado, let's start this video. Okay guys, so we'll start this off with a returning EX, the Ogre Hammer for Cinque. This will give her the EX ability Whirling Mace, which is a 6-hit AoE melee brave plus single target HP attack. This also increases the brave damage dealt to a single target, and the stolen brave can overflow up to 200% of her max brave. This also increases the ally's brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt. This will also apply 4 turns of 5 levels of stun debuff on all enemies. This will also delay all targets by 1 turn, and all the targets will have their chase initiated. Basically, the main target will be chase, launch, whatever you want to call it, straight away. As for the non-targets, they will be ready to be launched on the next turn. This does have a very slow recast speed, and at 1 out of 3 this will increase the brave damage dealt. At 2 out of 3 this will increase the brave overflow by another 50%. And at 3 out of 3 this will increase the recast speed. Now, if you do decide to realize this weapon at 0 out of 3, this will increase the recast speed again by 10. And when you're using Whirling Mace, this will increase the brave potency by 120% and will give herself the Mighty Maiden buff for 6 turns. This also will raise her speed by another 20%. Now, Mighty Maiden basically increases her attack by 20% and raises the gain brave overflow limit by 20% and increases her brave by 30% of her max brave. Now, at 1 out of 3, this will raise her max brave once again by 60% and her attack by 40%. Now, at 2 out of 3, when the quest starts, she will have 6 turns of max brave up, attack up, and Mighty Maiden. And when the battle starts, all enemies will start with 4 turns of 3 levels of stun debuff, and when using Whirling Mace, she will get 1 extra usage of her home run swing. At 3 out of 3, when she's using Whirling Mace, this now becomes a 3-hit AoE melee brave attack plus single target HP attack that is delivered 3 times. This also increased the brave potency by 180%, and all the targets will have 4 turns of action delay up debuff, which basically, I believe it's what we call turn rate down debuff in the global version of the game. And while Mighty Maiden is active, she will have access to the plus variant for both her brave attack and HP attack. Now, the HP attack plus increases her own brave by 70% of her attack and will do a 2-hit melee brave plus HP attack, and the stolen brave can overflow to 120% of her max brave, as well as adding 4 turns of 2 levels of stun debuff. Now, the bonus sphere you're getting for this one is going to be Break Brave Gain, which basically, when breaking a target, this will increase her brave by 10% of your max brave. Okay guys, now let's talk about how much should you be investing on Cinque after hearing all the information regarding her realization. Of course, this is going to be in terms here of your ingots. Now, honestly, to me, Cinque, you can really get away with 2 out of 3. You do have extra longevity at 2 out of 3 with the increase of home run swing with 1+1 use. However, I feel like 3 out of 3 really is the way to go if Cinque is one of those characters that you really like. And my main reason for this is not only you get all the things, of course, below 3 out of 3, but the longevity reason is always going to be a big factor when it comes to chaos difficulty fights. Having access to the plus variants for both a brave and HP attack is something that you're really gonna need. The main reason for this is while 2 out of 3 is actually nice and you get extra usage of your home run swing, honestly, even with all the increased recast speed with Cinc's EX ability, it's still quite slow to recharge. You can probably bring Selfie to alleviate some of these problems, so that's one way to get around it. But if you only have Cinque and you don't have Selfie, basically even with all the increased recast speed, it's still pretty slow, at least in terms of other, if you compare it with other EX ability. So you can't really like rely too much on this EX when it comes to increasing some of your initial value with home run swing. So having access to the plus variant, I think, is something that you will probably keep on using. And of course, the other factor is going to be the increase of damage overall. This is going to be a 3-hit AoE melee Brave plus single target HP attack that is going to be delivered 3 times instead of just the 1 6-hit Brave plus single target HP attack. So that is quite a massive difference. Not only that, you also get 4 turns of turn rate down on all of the targets as well, which is really nice when it comes to Cinque, because she is one of those slow characters that we have in Dissidia Omnia. So overall, like I said, you can probably really get away with 2 out of 3 with Cinque, but I think the value of 3 out of 3 is really a big one when it comes to Cinque. If she's not one of those characters you're really interested in, I mean, this is probably not the character for you. It's probably not a character that you will want to invest your ingots on, but if she's one of those characters that you really like, I think going 3 out of 3 is the way to go. But again, you can get away with 2 out of 3. Now let's talk about alternative characters in terms of Cinque. Some characters that will probably do the job as well. Now that really depends on what you think of Cinque. If you're thinking of Cinque as a debuffer with that stun debuff, I think Fran is a very good option. And the good thing about Fran is basically her debuffs doesn't go away once you use her plus variants of her ability. So that's the one thing that I don't really like with Cinque, that the stun debuff goes away after you hit the max, and then you hit them with your ability, it just disappears, so you have to restart again. This has been alleviated a little bit with her EX, but it's still something that's really annoying. So if you're thinking of a better debuffer, I think Fran is a better debuffer. If you're thinking of Cinque as someone that launches with some Brave Battery, I think Keys, which is coming next month, I believe, is going to be a much better option. Right now we have Lael that can do that launch and delay as well. He can delay a little bit. It's basically what a smaller version of Cinque's EX weapon, what Lael does. So Lael is another option if you're thinking more of a delay character, a single target with a frame debuff. General Leo does this pretty well. So Cinque is more of a jack of all trades combined together in her EX. So if you want a much more specific job, any of these 3 is probably the way to go. But again, you know, Cinque has all of them mixed up in one. So I think that's the main reason why this is a very slow recast speed, plus the insane amount of overflow that you can get with this EX is something really insane, I guess. So any of these characters, again, if you think there are much better alternative characters, leave them down in the comments below. Okay guys, now let's talk about Snow, which will be getting his rework on the release of this lost chapter. So let's go over his rework first. Let's talk about his first ability extension, Steel Guard, which gets 2 extra uses. This will now moderately raise his Brave gain based on his initial Brave. Brave gain is going to be applied to the entire party, which is pretty new, and the gain Brave can overflow up to 120% of his max Brave and slightly improve the effects of Steel Guard. Now the biggest change for this one is going to be a new stacking buff for Snow, which is called the Legion of Steel. This is going to be for 10 turns, which has a maximum of 3 stacks. Now Legion Steel increases his initial brave and his max brave and his attack depending on the number of stacks. This also recovers brave based on the number of stack as well. He also gains 1 additional stack when he's receiving a brave attack from enemies. This can only apply once per turn. Now this will now trigger a 2-hit melee brave plus HP attack after use as well, and the stolen brave can overflow up to 150% of his max brave and raises his brave based on the 30% of the HP damage dealt. He will also get access to his plus variant for both his brave attack and HP attack. Now, Frost Strike Extend will have 2 more extra uses than what we already have, so increasing it to 4 extra uses. The brave hit count increases to 4, increasing its potency and giving it a 120% max brave overflow limit, and will slightly raise the brave gain based on the HP damage dealt. This will also restore his HP based on the HP damage dealt up to 20% of their HP. Also, a quick side note, with his C58 passive, this will now increase his max brave and his speed when his HP is at least 50% of his max HP. Whereas before, I do believe it's just his max brave or one of the other. Now it's both. Now let's talk about his EX weapon called Paladin, which gives him the EX ability called Sovereign Fist, which is a 5-hit AoE melee brave attack plus a single target attack. HP attack, I should say. This marginally raises the brave damage dealt when there's only 1 target. The stolen brave can overflow to 120% of his max brave and will deal 50% splash damage to non-targets, and will raise his brave based on 20% of the HP damage dealt. This will also grant him the Fervent Hero buff for 6 turns and will provoke all the enemies for 5 turns. Now, Fervent Hero raises his own initial brave and his max brave, as well as reducing the HP damage dealt taken by the party. This also has a normal recast speed, and at 1 out of 3 increasing its brave damage dealt, 2 out of 3 increasing the duration of Fervent Hero by 3 turns, and at 3 out of 3 increasing its recast speed. Now, if you do decide to realize this weapon at 0 out of 3, this will increase its brave potency and increasing its max brave overflow limit. At 1 out of 3, this will increase his max brave and his attack. At 2 out of 3, this will now grant the Fervent Hero buff for 6 turns at the start of the quest, as well as not consuming an ability used for his first turn. Now, when the Fervent Hero buff is active, he will have access to his plus variant of both his brave and HP attack. Now the HP attack plus will raise his brave based on the max brave before attacking, and will do a one hit melee brave plus HP attack, and the stolen brave can overflow up to 120% of his max brave, as well as raising his brave based on 20% of the HP damage dealt. Now at 3 out of 3, his Sovereign Fist will now become a 3-hit AoE melee brave attack plus single target HP attack, plus a 5-hit AoE melee brave attack plus single target HP attack. This will also increase the brave potency, and when he's attacking a broken target or breaking a target, this will now deal 80% splash damage to non-targets. The bonus sphere for this one is target attack up when attacking an enemy targeting himself. This will now raise your attack by 10%. Okay guys, so after hearing all this information regarding Snow's rework and of course his EX and his realized EX, how much ingots should you be investing on Snow? Honestly, in my opinion, he's one of those guys that you need 3 out of 3 of as well. I think this is a little bit of a change when it comes to managing your ingots. A lot of these characters really need 3 out of 3 for them to be very, very effective. Again, you only want to invest on the characters that you really want, and this recommendation is only if this is a character that you really want and you want to use these characters as much as you can. So to me, Snow, you really want that 3 out of 3 because the extra damage is something that he really needs. He doesn't really do much damage to begin with. All his overflow with his normal abilities, or ability 1 and ability 2, aren't that high, and he doesn't hit too many times as well. His biggest hit is going to be his Frost Strike, which is the 4-hit Brave plus single target HP attack, but it can only go to 120% of his max Brave. And Steel Guard, while can go up to 150% of his max Brave, is only a 2-hit melee Brave plus HP attack, so he doesn't really have access to a lot of damage out there. So having access to 2 HP attacks in basically one ability is really nice to have. You can again get away with 2 out of 3 because that's where his longevity lies, which is really nice. But to me, if Chaos is getting more and more like damage intensive, I think you really need to go 3 out of 3, or else you might be, you know, falling a little bit, just a little bit short when it comes to doing damage. But again, you can get away with 2 out of 3, but I just recommend just going 3 out of 3 because of the damage dealt. Okay guys, now let's talk about alternative characters that you can bring if you don't really like Snow. So if you have some of these characters that probably can pass up on this banner. The first one I have here is going to be Zack. Now Zack, I guess, is almost the better comparison, I should say, or alternative character. The biggest thing with Zack to me is he doesn't really protect the entire party when it comes to all attacks. Unfortunately for him, he is more of a single target tank. He's more offensive than Snow, which is a big thing as well when it comes to damage output. That's why I recommended going 3 out of 3 for Snow, just so he can keep up with the damage output. But to me, Snow really is more of a party like shield, whereas Zack is more a single target tank. Of course, both of them can provoke the enemies, but the thing is, when enemies are doing all attacks, or you know, recast speed or something, recast ability or something like that, which hits everyone with HP damage, Zack cannot protect everyone, so he can only protect himself. Whereas Snow can protect everyone with his fervent hero buff. So this acts just like what Kimari does with his HP damage reduction buff for everyone, but instead of applying the buff to everyone, this just relies on 1 frame buff, which is a big factor when it comes to, you know, the limited amount of buffs you can have for each character. So having this is definitely gonna free up some space when it comes to your buffs, which is very nice. And that's the main reason I just added Kimari there, because basically that HP damage reduction is something they have in common with. Of course, there are other more tanks that we have, like Warrior of Light, who can protect you with his shields. Unfortunately, he can't protect you from the HP damage, but the Brave damage, he can definitely protect you there. So that's another option. You have Edge, which is a dodge tanking ability. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to tanking. Galuf is another one. Unfortunately, Galuf sort of suffers from what Zack has when it comes to all attacks, but at least he can cover everyone. So there are quite a few options. Okay guys, so we're finally at the end of this video. The final question is, should you pull? To me, this is really going to rely on what you have. It's going to be a big maybe again, because this really relies on what kind of roster you have at the moment. Do you actually need a tank? If you do, I say pull on this banner. Snow is an insane tank, a very good tank with the HP damage reduction for the entire party. I just can't say anything good enough about that. It really will save you a lot, and he's so-so in the damage department, but if you decide to go 3 out of 3 with him, it sort of alleviates his problem. Remember, his EX ability recast speed is only at normal, is in normal, and this also increases the recast speed at 3 out of 3 in normal EX, so it will be in the slightly fast, I believe, recast speed, so something that he can really keep on using, which is very nice. That means his damage output is going to be pretty decent. So yeah, if you are lacking on a tank, I can't really tell you enough that tanks are very important for safe runs in chaos difficulty fights. So using your gems on this is okay in my opinion if you are lacking in tanks. If you aren't, I suggest just use your tickets. Okay guys, I think I'll end the video right here, so please remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help my channel, and I really do appreciate all the support that you guys give me, and if you hit that bell button, you won't miss a video on my channel as well. Remember to follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming, and of course leave down in the comments below if you are planning to pull on this banner, and of course let me know which one you're really after. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next level.